Tell me what this past fall it was like for you, not playing football. I'm sure, obviously, you were prepared for today physically. But what kind of things did you do, and how closely did you follow what was going on up here in Pittsburgh?
I probably remember almost every play that happened last season. You know, I was talking to those guys before every game. You know, I cried the first couple games. I definitely was missing them a lot. You know, I was watching them. I'm just grateful for their support that they gave me when I came back.
Go ahead, John McGonigal, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Jaylen, good to see you, man. We saw after your bench press, obviously you got a little emotional, yelling and screaming a bit, getting pretty hyped. How long were you waiting for that? I mean, it was throughout the process, right? Sitting out this season, waiting for pro day. How kind of excited were you to get to this?
I was definitely excited. You know, I was just trying to show that all the work that I've been putting in, you know, and the pain that I have built up, you know. But you know, I was just trying to just put my best foot forward. You know, when I got up on the bench, I was just reminding everybody that I didn't warm up. So I just got up there, did a little arm circles, and got up under there. I ain't touched no pre-weight or nothing.
Alan Saunders, Pittsburgh Sports Now.
Jaylen, what was you know, I guess the biggest motivation for you to sit out this season, and as the year went on, you know, you mentioned missing the guys, or maybe now that you're getting some feedback from teams about where you might get drafted, how do you kind of evaluate that decision for yourself, and have you had any second thoughts about it?
You know, I was just trying to help my mom and my little brothers, you know, financially. So whatever happens in April happens, you know what I mean? My team showed great gratitude towards me, you know. They felt as if I wasn't selfish at all. You know, so it's in God's hands now.
Go ahead, Will Graves, Associated Press.
Jaylen, I'm curious, you know, how nervous were you about today? And, you know, I mean, you had a great season last year, but it was sort of just this one pocket of film. As you were going back and watching your guys play, did you ever think, God, I mean, might have been a better idea to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 games on tape? And did you feel today, I've got to show these guys that I haven't been sitting at home playing PlayStation the last 5 months?
Yeah, I definitely was trying to show that, you know, I just haven't been sitting at home. But I know for a fact if I had played this year with them two dudes running off the edge and them great DBs, you know, I feel like my numbers would have been better than last year. Definitely with the, you know, the teammates that I had around me. You know, you adding in Rashad Weaver and Kalijah Cansey, you know, the sacks would have just been falling in my lap. So I wouldn't have had to have worked as hard as I did last year for sure.
Good. Rich Walsh, KDK.
Jaylen, you talked about seeing what's going to happen in April. What do you think's going to happen? And do you think that today helped your draft stock?
After talking with my agents and stuff, you know, the things that I did well at, you know, we're going to try to put that as forward. And I feel like, you know, they said today was a win. So, you know, I'm excited for draft day. I've got a wide range of different ways it could go. You know, I'm just keeping my head down and praying, and we'll see.
Jaylen, what teams have you been talking to?
It's too many to name. You know, I didn't talk to probably around about 23.
We got Jeff Hathorn, 93.7 The Fan.
Hey, Jaylen, obviously you're able to lift while you were away, but what were you able to do to get better, and how valuable do you think it was for you to have that family time before you go off and start your career?
Honestly, I didn't even have no family time. Once I opted out, I probably was home for 2 weeks trying to decide what agent I was going to go with. And September 1st, I've been in Florida ever since. I mean, in November, I went to D.C. to pass out turkeys in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and I came home from Christmas to see my mom. But, you know, I've been training for over 200 days straight, so it's been working.
Good. Christopher Carter, DK Pittsburgh Sports.
Jaylen, when you come off a year like you did in 2019, and you have an entire football season, you got to stay in shape but also get stronger. what were the things that you said, hey, I got to maintain these strengths, but then you had to improve these areas during this offseason? And do you feel like you've done that as now you just saw yourself in a pro day?
Yeah, definitely. You know, one of my main focus with my trainer, Sean Washington, who's been doing all my bench press prep and stuff like that. And with the House of Athletes, you know, we were talking about me talking with everybody for like, you know, I did that today.
Got Amanda.
Hi, Jaylen. What can you say how, or I guess, what has it meant to you to have Aaron Donald go from being your role model to your mentor, and how has he helped you improve when you've been working with him?
You know, he's been just telling me keep my head down and stuff like that and keep working. To see somebody with that type of value, but also with that work ethic, you know, is like unmatched. You know, I done been around since I opted out. I've been around tons of the top NFL guys. That's, you know, the one percenters, but nobody works like him or nobody as humble as him. So ever since I've been watching him since I was 14, you know, I've been trying to mimic everything he do, which way he ties you and everything. So it's definitely paid off.
Do a couple more. Brian Batko, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Hey, Jaylen, have you heard much from the Steelers, and just more big picture, do you think you could play in a 3-4 scheme? Because I know when Aaron was coming out, that was kind of one of the questions that people had about him is you know, is he kind of a strictly 4-3 guy just based on his size?
You know, as humble as I can say, I feel like I showed my strengths that I could play anywhere on the defensive line. You know, throughout my 10-yard split and what I did on the bench, you know, I showed that I could play all four, wherever they need me on the defensive line.
Go ahead, Matt Baker in Tampa.
How did you get better over the last 6 months compared to if you've been playing a normal season?
You know, this my agility working with Chuck Smith and Pete Jenkins. Like Brian said before, with that 3-4 scheme, you know, Pete Jenkins is a real big two-gap type of guy. You know, he coached at LSU, one of the great defensive line coaches. So, you know, him transitioning my game, this, you know, if I fall anywhere to a 3-4 team, just me being versatile. So we've been working on that a lot and stuff like that, and me, you know, improving my run game and being consistent.
We'll do two more. Evan Shanker.
Jaylen, how you doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. So looking back on like the history of the NFL, a lot of people, not a lot of people come through it with your kind of power at your size, 6'2", 290, but some that come to mind are obviously your mentor, Aaron Donald, and guys like John Randall. Do you kind of use that as fuel and as a chip on your shoulder, knowing that you can make a real impact at the position and kind of pave the way for more guys your size who might not be as tall, but have that strength and have that power?
You know, definitely. I mean, I feel like the you know, those guys before me have already paved the way, and it's the new D tackles. You know what I mean? I mean, the people that I study from John Randall and Aaron Donald. You know, I study Grady Jarrett a lot, Kenny Clark, Gino. All of those dudes are my height, and most of them wear 97. So, you know, I study those dudes a whole lot, and I just as a whole.
We'll give the last one to Agustin Esposito from No Huddle, Argentina.
Can't hear you.
Still muted, so we'll go to Gonzalo Fabry with No Huddle.
I think you're on mute.
Hey, here Gonzalo from Argentina. I want to ask you who is your role model at the professional level?
Aaron Donald. When I came there, you know, I wore number 55 in high school and then Little League, Pop Warner days. But you know, when I got in high school and I was studying Aaron Donald, you know, since he had all those tackles versus Georgia Tech, and he tackled the running back and the quarterback versus Duke, you know, that was one of the guys that I mimicked. I remember what color shirt he had on when he got drafted. That's always been one of the guys that I mimicked. So when I came to Pitt and Paris Ford introduced me to him, you know, I just tried my hardest to work with him as much as I can.